Welcome to ComfortTV.channel news, bringing you verified and balanced news from Nigeria and around the world. I am Faith Kevin. Thank you for joining us. First, the headlines. Peter Obi faults arraignment of Ibom air passenger. Suspected terrorists kill soldiers, others in Benue. Abia begins waste removal from rivers Ihe, Umudiri to prevent floods. OT directs recruitment of gatemen for Abia schools. And foreign news, child dies in Italy as European heatwave set record sparks wildfire. On business news, federal government's plan for self-sufficiency fails again as importation of sugar rises. And on sports news, Atletico sign Italy forward Raspadori from Napoli. Now the news in full. Peter Obi, presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 elections, has faulted the arraignment of Comfort Emanson, the female passenger, accused of being unruly during a flight operated by Ibom Air. In a post on X on Monday, Obi said the recent incident had exposed the double standards in Nigeria's justice system and the failure of security operatives to act in a civilized manner. He described the development as unfortunate and dishonorable while condemning the treatment meted out to the passenger by officials. Obi also apologized to the Ibom air crew who were assaulted by Miss Comfort Emanson. Obi said, as a society, we must learn to uphold good conduct, which he also described as a true measure of success and decent living. Meanwhile, the Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Festus Keyamo, has condemned the release of the video of the Ibom air passenger who was accused of assaulting a crew member. Keyamo said that while the filming of her unruly behavior as evidence to prosecute her was in order, the release of the video to the public to ridicule her was deplorable and unacceptable. The minister said he had directed that whoever released the indecent part of the video should be identified and sanctioned. 3 persons have been killed by gunmen suspected to be armed herdsmen at Yellow-Water community in Guma local government area of Benue State, even as Boko Haram insurgents attacked a military formation in Borno, killing 2 soldiers. The attack, which took place on Monday as chairman of the Senate Committee on Labor, Employment and Productivity, Senator Dicket Plank, alleged that foreign armed groups working with local collaborators were behind recent killing in Boko's local government area of Plateau State. The Yellow-Water attack, which occurred after a similar incident, claimed over 200 lives in the same community some weeks ago. President Bola Tinubu visited Benue State and set up a committee to resolve the spate of killings in the state. Meanwhile, the attack sparked angry protests by women of the community who blocked the Makadi-Lafia Road at Yellow-Water in protest over the killings. The women who sang as they occupied the highways were heard calling on the government to stop armed herdsmen from killing them and occupying their community. The police command in Ogun State, Nigeria, says it has arrested Kadir Owolabi, a motorcycle rider who was allegedly in possession of 3 human skulls. CSP Omolola Udutola, the command spokesperson, disclosed this in a statement in Abeokuta on Tuesday. Udutola said that as a search of his luggage by mobile police officers led to the shocking discovery of 3 human skulls. She said that the routine stop-and-search operations was conducted by operatives from 71 PMF Awa Ijebu at 2 p.m. on Monday on the Ijebu-Ode-Ibadan Expressway at Refugees Camp Junction, Oru Ijebu. Odutola said that the Commissioner of Police, Lanre Ogunoo, had directed the State Criminal Investigation Department to take over the case for discreet investigations. The spokesperson added that the command reiterated its commitment to decisive action against crime. The Abia state government has begun clearing waste from rivers Ihe and Umudiri on the outskirts of Umuahia in a bid to prevent imminent flooding in the state capital. The Deputy General Manager of the State Environmental Protection Agency, ASEPA, in charge of Umuahia Zone, Ambrose Jonah, said the exercise followed a directive from Governor Alex Oti, who had inspected flooded areas in the state capital. Abia is among the states predicted to be at risk of flooding this year, according to the Nigerian Meteorological Agency, NIMET. seasonal climate predictions, and the Nigeria's Hydrological Services Agency (NSA) flood outlook, which align with the National Emergency Management Agency (NEMA) forecasts. Jonas said the two rivers, which are tributaries to other rivers in Umuahia, would be widened to improve water flow after the rains. He cautioned residents against dumping refuse into the waterways and urged them to make use of waste buckets placed at strategic locations. He noted that most of the waste generated in the state is non-biodegradable. Abia State Governor Alex Oti has directed the Abia State Universal Basic Education Board (ASUBEB) to recruit gatemen for all primary and junior secondary schools in the state. The directive was contained in a statement signed by the board's secretary, Dr. Uzoamaka Amamba, on behalf of the executive chairman. According to the statement, the recruitment is aimed at preventing encroachment and vandalism in schools, with particular focus on ensuring the safety of pupils and students. Interested applicants are to obtain forms from the ASUBEB headquarters offices of the Local Government Education Authority (LGEAs) or local government areas (LGAs) across the state. Completed applications must be returned to the respective offices by the deadline of August 22, 2025. Acknowledgement copies should be received upon submission. Only candidates who meet the pre-qualification criteria will be announced at a later date. It added that applicants must be between the ages of 20 and 65, reside in Abia State, and provide copies of their National Identification Number (NIN), voter's card, and ABSIN number as proof of identity and residency. Failure to provide credible guarantors as outlined on the form will result in disqualifications. The statement noted that the recruitment exercise is part of efforts to strengthen security in public schools and safeguard students' welfare. ComfortTV.channel's news returns shortly with foreign, business, and sports news. Many thanks for staying tuned. On foreign news, a young boy died of heat stroke in Italy while wildfires threatened a UNESCO site in Spain and French cities. A young boy died of heat stroke in Italy while wildfires threatened a UNESCO site in Spain, and French cities saw record temperatures as a heatwave baked Europe. Many towns and cities in France, Italy, and Balkans were put on red alert due to the heat. Wildfires fanned by strong winds forced the evacuation of thousands of people throughout the continent and threatened popular tourist sites in Turkey and Spain. The 4-year-old Romanian boy who died in Italy succumbed days after being found unconscious in his family car on the island of Sardinia. The news came as Italy's health ministry issued a red alert warning for 7 major cities, including Bologna and Florence. Some 11 Italian cities are on red alerts for Tuesday and 16 cities on Wednesday. Red alerts were also announced in southern France and on the Adriatic and Ionian coast in the Balkans. The heatwave currently affecting France, Spain, and the Balkan countries is not surprising. It is driven by a persistent heat dome over Europe. In the same vein, a blaze which broke out on Sunday damaged a UNESCO World Heritage-listed Roman-era mining site at Les Medullas in northwestern Spain, famed for its striking red landscape, and prompted hundreds of residents to evacuate. High temperatures and winds of up to 40 kilometers per hour created many difficulties for firefighters struggling to contain the wildfire. Spain has been in the grip of heatwave for the past week, with temperatures nearing 40 degrees Celsius in many areas and fueling wildfires. In the southern tourist town of Tarifa, more than 2,000 people were evacuated, some from hotels and beaches, after a fire that had been subdued flared up again, with more than 100 firefighters battling the flames. In neighboring Portugal, firefighters were battling 3 large wildfires in the center and north of the country, while Morocco is sending 2 aircraft to help fight the fires after 2 Portuguese planes broke down. In Italy, around 190 firefighters and the army were tackling a wildfire on Mount Vesuvius that caused the closure of the national park to tourists. Still on the foreign scene, U.S. President Donald Trump has said he will try to get some territory back for Ukraine during his meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin on Friday. Russia has occupied a big portion of Ukraine. They occupied prime territory and are going to try to get some of that territory back for Ukraine. Trump again warned that there would be some swapping changes in land between Russia and Ukraine. Trump said he will update European leaders if Putin proposes a fair deal during the talks, adding that he would speak to Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky first out of respect. Trump also said that while he and Zelensky got along, he severely disagrees with what the Ukrainian president has done. Trump had previously blamed Zelensky for the war in Ukraine, which was sparked by Russia's full-scale invasion of the country in February 2022. He said that the future meeting could include Zelensky and could be a three-way session, including himself and Putin. And now on business news. Reflecting the gross underperformance of the sugar sector after over 15 years' efforts towards self-sufficiency through local production, Nigeria's importation of sugar and sugarcane rose sharply by 328% in 5 years from 2020 to 2024. The development comes at the backdrop of a clear failure of the 1.5 decade of implementation of the National Sugar Master Plan, rolled out in 2010 and renewed in 2020. Financial Vanguard findings from data on sugar importation by the National Bureau of Statistics showed that sugar importation rose to 2.21 trillion naira in 5 years to 2024 from 516 plus 61 billion naira in the preceding 5 years to 2019. According to the National Sugar Development Council (NSDC), Nigeria currently produces 40,000 metric tons of sugar, far below the annual demand estimated at 1.7 million tons, indicating a demand deficit of 1.75 metric tons or 97%. This remains largely unchanged from the 98% deficit in 2010 when the first phase of the NSMP was introduced with the aim of eliminating sugar importation by 2020. Financial Vanguard findings from data on sugar importation by the National Bureau of Statistics showed that sugar importation rose to 2.21 trillion in 5 years to 2024 from 516.61 billion naira. Still on business news, Nigeria's fourth largest telecom operator, T2, formerly 9 Mobile, is making a fresh bid to claw back market share and recover 20.6 million subscribers lost to competitors. Once a market darling known as Etisalat Nigeria, the operator peaked at over 23 million subscribers in 2015, backed by the UAE-based Etisalat Group and recognized for its innovative products and youthful marketing. But by 2017, the shine faded. A $1.2 billion debt crisis with a consortium of local and foreign banks triggered Etisalat's abrupt exit from Nigeria, leaving the business in the hands of Nigerian banks and rebranded as 9 Mobile. Despite the name change, the years that followed were marked by shrinking revenues, ownership tussles, and relentless competition from MTN, Airtel, and Globacom. Over time, subscriber numbers fell sharply, service quality concerns mounted, and the brand lost much of its earlier energy. By June 2025, the Nigerian Communications Commission (NCC) data showed the company's subscriber base had dwindled to just 2.4 million, barely a tenth of its 2015 peak. In contrast, T2's 2.4 million, while an improvement, still leaves it at a distant fourth with little more than a sliver of consumer attention. Bosun Tijani, Minister of Communication, Innovation and Digital Economy, congratulated T2 but urged the company to back the new look with tangible service improvements. And on sports news, Nigeria's #1 squash player Adegoke Onaupemipo says competing alone for his country at the World Games 2025 has strengthened his resolve to qualify for the sport's Olympic debut at Los Angeles 2028. The 25-year-old Lagos-born athlete, ranked 137th in the world, entered the men's single competition in Chengdu, China without a coach or teammates. He said it's his first time representing Nigeria in the big game. Onaupemipo, who is based in New York, reached the men's plate final after 3 victories in the consolation draw, following a first-round loss to Hong Kong China's Lao Quan. He says his approach to competing without a coach involves preparing multiple game plans. He began playing squash after initial reluctance encouraged by his brother and progressed through Nigeria's junior ranks to become national champion at 19. Squash has been a very good thing in his life. Onaikwemikmo noted that Nigerian squash players rely on private sponsorship due to limited government support. The athlete welcomed the inclusion of squash in the 2028 Olympic program. Still on sports, Atletico Madrid have signed Italy forwards Giacomo Raspadori from Serie A champions Napoli on a 5-year contract, the La Liga club announced on Monday. Raspadori, who also won the Scudetto with Napoli in 2023, has joined for 20 million euros, according to Spanish media reports. The 25-year-old scored 6 goals for Napoli last term in his 3rd season with the club after signing from Sassuolo in 2022. Atletico, who finished 3rd in La Liga last season, have made several signings this summer as they bid to launch a new title challenge. Top-ranked Arina Sabalenka fought through a 3-hour battle to hold off an inspired Emma Raducanu on Monday and reached the 4th round of ATP and WTA Cincinnati Open. The top seed, who won the Cincinnati final a year ago over Jessica Pegula, increased her lead at the top of the WTA Tour match win statistics as she secured her 49th of the season. But the struggle was real for Sabalenka, who finished with 2 aces in the closing stages. The British '1 survived the 25-minute 8 game of the final set, which went to 13 deuces, with Raducanu saving 4 break points before finally holding for 4-all and eventually into a tiebreaker. Spain's Jessica Buzas Meniro, a quarter-finalist this month in Montreal, made further hard-court progress, thrashing America wildcard Taylor Townsend. Her next opponent will be Sabalenka on Wednesday. And that's the bulletin for today on ComfortTV.channel. But before we go, here are the recap of our major stories. Peter Obi faults arraignment of Ibom air passenger. Suspected tourist kills soldiers, others in Benue. Police arrest motorcyclist with 3 human skulls in Ogun. On foreign news, child dies in Italy as European heatwave sets record in spark wildfire. On business news, T2 rebrands to regain 20.6 million subscribers. And on sports, Atletico signed Italy forward Raspadori from Napoli. And that's ComfortTV.channel news. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to our channel. Hit the notification buttons so you get updates on new videos. My name is Faith Kevin. Thanks for watching.